Hey everybody, I just wanted to make a quick update video to explain my post today and kind of give some better understanding of what's going to be going on the next couple months. So I went to the orthopedist today to have a consult about my right hip. Now for those of you that know me, I have a bad right hip, apparently a really bad right hip. It's caused me a lot of physical problems. I fell a bunch of times this year. There's a lot of pain, a lot of ache, and the head of the femur is in bad shape. So the surgeon has decided that surgery is the proper course and not just like a regular hip replacement. It's going to be a total hip replacement. But the problem is there has to be an augmentation to the hip because my hip is deformed. So real quickly, you have the head of your leg, the head of your femur, the ball of your femur sits in the cup of your hip, which is called the acetabulum, right? So it forms a sphere, a cup, and a ball, right? So your hip can roll and move. My hip is not a cup, it's more of a saucer. So there's more play in the hip. And then the head of my femur is also oversized, and the neck of the femur is impacted. So, in order to properly replace my hip and form the cup and ball, they have to do an augmentation. So what's going to happen is they're going to form a piece of metal and screw it into the top of my hip joint so that my hip then becomes a cup instead of like a flat kind of plate saucer, so that the new hip fits snug in the hip joint and will roll about naturally. Problem is, this is a way more invasive surgery, longer, more arduous recovery time. So basically, they're gonna go in through my hip on the side, on the front side, all the way up. Instead of just at the hip, they're gonna go up the pelvis bone, peel the muscle off the pelvis, like they're gonna have to like cut it off. Then bolt the metal piece in, secure that. Then they're gonna have to clean out the hip socket and reshape it because it's deformed. The hip socket's deformed. They're gonna have to reshape it. Then put the hip back together, put the muscle back on, stitch that together, and then sew me up. That means for 6 weeks after the surgery, I'm not gonna be able to do much other than go to rehab and walk a little bit and try to do as light physical activity as possible. So sitting at my desk for as long as I can, streaming, laying down. 6 weeks of pretty much no real heavy physical activity outside of rehab, right? Then after 6 week passes, I have 3 months of rehab to gain full, what they call full functionality. This doesn't mean my hip is healed. My hip is going to take a year to 2 years to fully recover because of the complexity of the repair and the damage that's done to the hip. So I'm looking at a year to 2 years before I can fully use my hip properly again. Plus, during that 6 weeks to 3 months period, I'm not going to be able to do any like physical work. I'm not going to be able to go back to work like I've been trying to do. So the next 5.5 months, I'm going to be out of work essentially, outside of streaming, writing, and trying to do as much voice acting as possible. So yeah, it's gonna be a long road, but eventually it'll be a better quality of life, we're hope. And this is all barring no complications with the surgery, no complications with recovery, no complications with PT, none of that. So like they're assuming all is gonna go smooth and I'll be up and running in like 3 months, limited physical activity, sort of full functionality, and then more rehab for the entire year. So I guess I'm just going to continue to do what I'm doing right now on stream. I'm going to try and start working on some stories again. I'm going to try and do some RPG stuff. I'm going to continue to try and do some narration for audiobooks to try and generate some income outside of Twitch streaming, because I don't want to be a burden on my family anymore. I don't want to be a burden. I know I'm not. They say I'm not, but like the next year I'm basically not going to be doing a whole lot of anything once the surgery happens. So surgery is set for mid-July. I don't have a specific day yet. I'll have to spend a couple days in the hospital after the surgery so that they can make sure there's no infection and the sutures hold and all that. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'll make videos about my recovery and kind of let you know what's going on from time to time. So as always, I appreciate your support. Hopefully this kind of gives you a better understanding of what my posts were about, the level of depth that, and now I got a huge thing on my cheek, the level of depth of the recovery and surgery I'm gonna have, and it's gonna be a long year. And B and I have had a long conversation, and she understands the kids here, and I have had a conversation. They seem to understand what's expected. I talked to my other kid, and then I'm going to be talking to my son tonight now that I have further details, and hopefully as a family we'll be able to get through it and I'll have a better quality of life afterwards. And just wanted to give you guys a heads up and a short update video. So I'll see you guys around. Thanks.